Koenigsegg, yep, he's got the advantage, but unironically, the average ducks to the inside. What a move! But Koenigsegg accelerating back on the outside. And there goes Salty Bonkos to the inside. Bashing door panels, sparks flying, smoke spraying. The Butler is going to go wide. Salty Bonkos on the inside. They're a little bit off the pace, but now accelerating all 500 horsepower. Gobble, gobble. Happy Tuesday evening to you all here watching on X Venture for Season 37. And yeah, we're going to go straight to the schedule because this is midpoint week of Season 37. Week number 3, heading out first to Le Mans Circuit de la Sarthe in the dark for 7 laps. That'll be followed up by Rio de Janeiro, the mini circuit in reverse for 48 laps. That'll be in the sun. And week 3, that means we'll be following things up there in week number 4 with our Road Atlanta and Nürburgring GP visit, and then capped it all off here in Season 37 with Sebring full in the rain for 30 laps. All right, so that's what's happening here ahead. But what about where we are right now in terms of the standings? If you're following me there on Twitter, XVenture, you will already know. I will have already posted those up. But here you can take a look and kind of get your own little storylines, starting to draw those up and what we can expect here heading into week number 3. And then as we start to peel closer and closer toward the end, peel the weeks away, which week will be each driver's worst week. And from that, they'll take the top 4 points or the top 4 weeks worth of points for each driver, and that'll be their championship. Right now, it's Cratrim who sits atop the leaderboard with 97, Stevie Superstacks at 95. Then you've got McQueen who jumped into the mix there in week number 2. He did not participate in week 1. I do see him in the lobby here for week number 3, so he's going to continue on and make his push for a championship here, the first, if he could make it happen for McQueen in the Forza Spec Racing Series. Then Audrex, who is sitting there in 4th with 83 points, CMB Slipstream with 79, AMS Huracan with 79 as well, Fear the Fun, Chaos Fox, Born as Ghost, Joe Beardy round out the top 10, and as the footnote annotates, both Cratrium and Stevie Superstack splitting victories in week number 2, with Cratrium's coming at Bathurst and Stevie out at Lime Rock. 2 very exciting races last week, and I suspect that's going to continue. Hopefully we'll be able to see a bit of the racing action here this evening because not only is it evening in the real world, it is nighttime out on the track, and because it is Le Mans, the large sprawling track of Le Mans, that means there are going to be bits of it where we don't see or we don't have at least any street lights or stadium lights. So with that, we'll have some instances where it'll be quite dark, but I think we should be able to, with the help of the gamer tags up above the cars, be able to make out where everybody is. I'm Dustin Moore, and again, yes, you're watching X Venture here live on Twitch TV as we get ready for what is going to be 3 laps of qualifying, and actually it may not even be that long. I'll have to check here with Slow Motion Fire and see what they're coordinating for Le Mans, because as you might expect for a track that's 8.44 miles long, 3 laps of qualifying, maybe 2 laps too many. 2 laps tonight, says Slow Motion Fire. Perfect. Thank you so much for giving us that update. Every once in a while, I forget these things until we get into the broadcast, and then I'm like, yeah, I probably should have known that information beforehand, but no worries. We'll get it all sorted out as we go along, and then, of course, we'll see there in the upper left that'll actually point out how many laps the drivers have as they get around the track. But taking a look at the lobby, we've got Cratrim in there, who, again, is at the top of the leaderboard, so it's good to see our leaderboard driver or the driver who's at the top of the leaderboard participating tonight, RZ McQueen, again, who is in third overall. Also in the lobby, Audrex is there, Joe Beardy, Foontang, Born as Ghost, Z827, one of the newcomers here in Season 37 of the Forza Spec Racing Series. Then Fear the Fun, Chaos Fox, LS Barney. Barney is jumping from the Lightspeed Esports team to LS. And I'm not entirely sure what their acronym or their initials stand for, but Barney switching teams there within the week. Fox, Jason D, Dior, Carryout, Beer 98, Slow Motion Fire, Kuda, Stevie, Jacob, Modern Weapon, Grim, AP1 Raccoon, Gumby Greg, Disco Joint, 22 drivers loaded up and ready to go on this Thanksgiving week. Yeah, I said gobble gobble off the top. It's Thanksgiving week for those of us who live in the United States, and that means that some folks may be traveling and all that, hopefully staying safe while doing so. But with that, typically we see an impact to the races here in the Forza Spec Racing Series. Whenever there's a holiday in the vicinity of the week, sometimes we see a drop-off in participation, but 22 drivers, just one spot available on the grid. Pretty good showing here for week 3. Maybe that's a nod to the M3, which has been very competitive, a very fun car, according to some of the drivers that have told us in our post-race interviews that the BMW that we've got here in Season 37 actually quite the joy to drive. This coming off the heels of the Bugatti EB110. What's up there, Carryout? LS Unku. LS, EM, and LS are the same team. LS is just their new... oh, there we go. A little bit of info that I was not aware of. So I thought there was a change of team. It's actually just a change of the acronym. Thank you for that there, Unku, for the update. Slow Motion Fire is there in the lobby. Born as Ghost is here saying, hey, hey. Hey, hey there, Born as Ghost. Good luck to you out on the track. And Carryout is here as well. Hey-ya. Hey-ya, he says there in the chat. So here we go. Loading up for the qualifying session. There goes Kuda, is going to be the first off the line. And, yeah, sure enough, 2 laps up there in the upper left-hand corner. So you'll get the standing start, and then you'll get the flying lap. The best of those two is going to dictate where you're at on the pole, or, excuse me, where you're at in the grid for the start of the 7-lap race. And it looks like they're going to do qualifying maybe in the day here and then transition into the night as somebody in the background goes flying off the track. Didn't see who that was, but right there up toward Dunlop Curb, or the Dunlop Chicane, somebody flew off, and we've got a couple of screens here, loading screens. I don't know what's going on. Oh, we've got drivers who are dropping out. So I'm going to keep watching here because it looks like some of the drivers are still going, but now it appears as if folks are dropping out. So we'll go ahead and we'll bring back up the standings for right now while Slow Motion Fire gets things organized. Looks like they're going to do a restart of the qualifying session, which is not typical. That usually doesn't happen. Maybe somebody didn't get loaded up, and before they got too far into it, said, hey, let's go ahead and try to get whoever that was in. I see that it is still a 22-driver lobby, so it's not like somebody joined in last minute. Somebody must have just not readied up. That's all there is to it. Again, a look at those standings, and there are 50 points up for grabs each race, within second place getting 45, or actually it's 47 points for second place, and then I believe it's either 45 or 44 for third. So that being said, trying to rack up all those points. That way, if you do happen to get into week 4 or maybe the week 5 finale and you don't do so hot, because that's just one single race, that's double the points. You got to try to treat every single week here as if all the points count, because you never know when you might need them. Those pesky disconnects, get into an incident. You want to be sure that you've got the points to keep you up here in the top 20 at the very least. We do have some drivers that are beneath this scoreboard that we don't see. Top 20, aspire to that, and then see if you can get you in the top 10, top 5, top 3. Craytrim, who happens to have the most championships won here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, in the lead with Stevie Superstacks, who's also a newcomer. I mentioned Z827 being new to the series here this season. That could be the same could be said for Stevie. And then RZ and McQueen, who's participated the last 3 seasons, I do believe, ever since the Ford F100, but has not yet racked up a championship, which understandably so. When you have AMS Huracan, we had AMS Storm in there picking up a championship just the other season. So very competitive here in the Forza Spec Racing Series. And even if you're not the most competitive person, if you can keep things clean, keep the car pointed in the right direction, then you're welcome to participate with these guys and gals. All the information, everything you need to know, click on that link that Nightbot has just dropped in, reddit.com/r/FM4, and that'll spell everything out. And even if you don't aspire to win a championship, you should still be participating, should still be racing, because it's just a lot of fun, not only from our perspective, watching the racing action take place, but all the drivers who we talk to, even if they're not in the running for the championship, they talk about it, just how great of a crew it is to run with and how much fun they have. They find somebody that they're competitive with and see if they can't make them their rival, or they do make them their rival, and see if they can beat them at some point, put them back in the rearview mirror. And here we go, getting ready. It looks like we are now going into the dark, and that could have been what it was, is that Slow Motion Fire said, hey, we're racing in the nighttime. We need to qualify in the nighttime. And so with that, as the lobby gets loaded up, we'll notice that we are under starry skies now out here at Circuit de la Sarthe. And this will be the old Mulsanne circuit, as you can see with the track map information there in the left-hand corner, bottom left. The old Mulsanne. So no chicanes. Those 2 chicanes there on the back straightaway do not exist here for this race. They'll be pedal to the metal all the way through. And this time it'll be AB1 Raccoon's going to be the first one off the line in that Falcon tire liveried BMW M3. 276 horsepower, 289 foot-pounds of torque, 3,678 pounds curb weight. A hefty car. A hefty car it is, but the driver's, again, telling me there's not really a great deal of under or oversteer with this vehicle. It's pretty well balanced in terms of its turning capability, and with 276 horsepower, quite speedy. We'll see what the top miles per hour is for any one car here in the bottom left. I'll go ahead and get that. Well, I thought I was going to get the race stats. There they are. We'll go ahead and drop the vehicle stats. And here's where it will be dark, out here on the Mulsanne Straight. But fortunately, we do have the gamer tags up above. That's going to help us plenty. Up to 150, 151 now is AP1 Raccoon. 52, 53. Still only about halfway down the Mulsanne before you hit that little kink before you get to the Mulsanne corner. So that's a little pitch to the right, which in this car should not be an issue. Should not be too difficult to hook the vehicle here and get it ready for the Mulsanne corner, as we see Raccoon dashing through what would have been the second chicane there. And then here's that little dog leg to the right, and now closing into Mulsanne corner, which has a hard 90-degree turn to the right. And off into the dirt. Try to make the recovery there, Raccoon. Let's go ahead and put our camera here on Z827. Z827 20th overall on the leaderboard, back behind AP1 Raccoon with 24 points. Got quite a bit of ground to make up if wanting to get into the 19th spot. And I believe the reason for that is there's either been a disconnect or two, and possibly even an accident in one of our first few weeks. As I take a look at our past race results, ZA27 actually was not a participant in week. No, actually he was. Finishing 18th out at Bathurst and then finishing in, looks like it's going to be 16th. 16th position at Lime Rock. Do our carryout now up to 165, at least the top speed. Kaluna Soul saying Z827 Hart. Rooting on a favorite out on the track. See Stevie Super Stack there in the mix as they come up now to, that's going to be Arnage, which is another sharp right-hander. Now making the charge toward the Porsche curves. Then the Corvette curves, and then down to the Ford chicane, into the start-finish line, past the grandstands. That'll be the end of lap 1, start of lap 2, and that second lap will be the final lap. There is no third qualifying here in this event. Again, 8.44 mile Circuit de la Sarthe, a little shorter than the modern-day version, again, because we don't have those chicanes on the Mulsanne. And here comes Modern Weapon now, weaving through the Corvette curves. Modern Weapon's going to slide off. He's out onto the runoff area, the blue painted area of the track. Going to make a recovery, and so is going to try to make the best out of lap number 2. You want a clean lap. You want to at least guarantee yourself a clean lap, because I'm thinking there might very well, and actually let's go ahead and mark it right now, an opportunity to do our Twitch predictions. How many drivers will have dirtied laps? And those are qualifying laps. Let's say 1 to 4 or 5 to 22. I'll just put 23 in case somebody happened to jump in there, and we'll do this for the next 5 minutes. Place your prediction, have a chance to win you some channel points. Why do you want to win some channel points? What's the good in that? Well, we got a little raffle coming up here. Well, the raffle is actually, the entry period for the raffle is ongoing as of right now, up until 10 p.m. Eastern Time on December 8th, and December 8th happens to be the conclusion of Season 37. So after Season 37 concludes, we'll take all the entries into the fall raffle, figure out who our lucky winner is. That lucky winner will receive their choice of a $50 Xbox, PlayStation, or Steam digital gift card. And so if you want a chance to win, turn those channel points into entries. Just click on that little wrench that's at the bottom of the chat. Those are your channel points, or pit points as we call them here on XVenture. And every 1,000 of them you can redeem for an entry. Increase your odds of winning with each additional entry. No purchase necessary. And for those of you who are eyeing the Xbox or the PlayStation cards, do know that you have to be in the United States to redeem those. The Steam card can be redeemed anywhere. All right, McQueen with our top time at a 4:32 right now. And if my timing is showing everything correctly, behind him would be DOR Carryout, or on row number 1, opposite of McQueen would be DOR Carryout. Road 2 would be Audrex and Born as Ghost, but we'll see what happens here after this second lap. There goes Graham now off the track at the Mulsanne corner. So where AP1 Raccoon had troubles a lap ago, it is now Grimm who's out there in the gravel trying to make a recovery. And here we are riding on board with Chaos Fox, and you can just see how dark it is. Now no longer on the Mulsanne Straight, but heading toward Indianapolis. the corner, not the city. And then Arnage, it is pretty close to pitch black out there, even with those headlamps on. It doesn't provide the greatest amount of visibility. And now into the right-hander. That little dog leg before Indianapolis, which is this left-hander right here. Back behind Chaos Fox is Fear the Fun. You can notice that ghosting effect there as Fear the Fun closes in on Chaos Fox. That just allows the drivers to kind of occupy the same space as we are in qualifying, which is permitting all 22 drivers to qualify at once. Oh, the beautifulness of virtual racing. Or the beauty of virtual racing, I suppose. Let's go to Joe Beardy, who has the 7th quickest time right now. And he can see just getting past the Ferris wheel off to the left through the last 2 chicanes and then coming up across the line. No, we've lost somebody, I do believe. That's typically what that means whenever we get that loading screen. And Foontang, Disco Joint, Joe Beardy crossed the line, not able to beat RZM McQueen's 432. Let's go to Jacob T. Boed. And Cratrium now, who sits atop the leaderboard entering week number 3 with the top time of a 4:31. And now here comes RZM McQueen to go ahead and rip that back out of the clutches of Cratrium. That's my top time. That's my pole spot, says McQueen. 4:30.346. And with only 3 or 4 cars yet to cross the line, it looks like it'll be McQueen who will be on pole, which, starting about 3 or 4 seasons ago, means that the driver who does qualify for pole actually is the official indication of starting the race, because they will be in pole with the entire pack behind them, and once the pole sitter moves off the line, shows the slightest indication that they're beginning the race, then everybody else is free to follow. Of course, knowing when the pole sitter is going to actually do that is the trick, kind of getting that timing down without the false start. So let's go ahead and take a look at the race results, or the qualifying results, and see how some of y'all did there in our Twitch predictor. We had Kuda 93 with a 340. Oh my gosh, a 437. 937. There's too many 37s happening in that time. Foontang with a dirty 436. Joe Beardy with a 434. 444 for Disco Joint. 443 for Raccoon. 37 there for Z827. LSCM Barty with 36. 31 for Cratrium. 32 for Audrex. And there's McQueen's 430. 346 for Pole. Stevie clocking in at a 435, 127. So that's going to set Stevie back a few rows for the start of this one out at Circuit de la Sarthe, as he tries to keep pace with Cratrium, just 2 points back on the overall leaderboard at this point. Modern Weapon with a 439, a dirtied 431 for Fear the Fun, a 435 there for Chaos Fox. Grim with a 436 dirtied. Beer with a 447. Born as Ghost with a 34, 32 for Carryout. Slow Motion Fire also with a 32, 211 but dirtied. Jacob TBOED with a 36, a 44 for Fox Jason D, and a 46 there for Gumby Greg. And for anybody who participated in our Twitch predictor poll, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dirtied laps. So if you selected option B, congratulations to you. You win. We had a couple of folks who voted, but they went the wrong direction. They said only 1 to 4 drivers would actually dirty their lap. It was the 5 to 23 range. So there you go. Those are the qualifying times. Let's take a look. Nope, nobody's in the interview queue. So let's go ahead and start our next poll here. start a prediction, and let's do something a little bit different here. We've done, hey, where will so and so finish the race for this upcoming event? You know, will they finish in first, or will they finish in a certain range? Instead, let's go ahead with will anyone have to pit after lap 1? Will anybody have to pit after lap 1? And anyone means anyone. Will any one single driver, I don't care if it's 2, 3, 4, 50, if we had 50, I don't care if it's all 22 of the drivers. If anybody pits, then your option is yes, somebody will pit after lap 1, or if you think nobody will, then no. And this is a race where they do have simulation damage turned on. So if there was a wreck, one driver could require the services of a pit stop. But there you go. Make it happen. Your channel points are down below. The more you bet, the more, not necessarily you'll win, but perhaps somebody else will win from you if they get the correct answer. But just another way to keep engaged with the fun here with the Forza Spec Racing Series and the broadcast, X-Venture. So give it a shot. Throw your Twitch bits, not Twitch bits, but channel points into the predictor with your option and see if you can't get a few more back. All right, so we know it's going to be Cratrium on row number 1, but in P2 position, that's McQueen with that 430, 346, who's going to be on pole. So we'll watch those two as they make the charge up toward the Dunlop chicane, and how much distance they'll put between them and the rest of the pack. Because really, I mean, I think this is going to be one of those races where you need to be where you want to be very early on. If at the very onset or a quarter of the way down the Mulsanne, you're seeing your opponent's taillights start to peel away, it's going to be a very bad sign, and it might make for a very long, arduous, and painful race if you're playing that catch-up game all the way to the end on a track like this, where there's not a lot of passing spots on the circuit here at Circuit de la Sarthe, especially in the dark. I mean, I have to imagine that the drivers, some of them, aren't going to necessarily fancy the darkness of the circuit. I mean, we already saw it with a couple of them going into the dirt trap there at the Mulsanne corner. So if we've got folks who are very early ejecting themselves off and into the gravel, then that's going to make for a very, very long race here for race number 1 of the evening. And then we'll follow that up with a fun one out at Rio de Janeiro, the short circuit in reverse. Could be one of those nights, a very pesky night. I think that's how it would fare for me. I'd walk away from tonight probably not feeling too great, but we'll see what the other drivers think, or we'll see what the actual drivers think. I'm not driving at all, so we'll get their takes on how they felt after this race. Hopefully, if we can get a few drivers in our driver spotlight. At the very least, I suspect we'll get a few there after race number 2 here of the evening, giving us their thoughts, weighing in on how things went tonight. All right, McQueen and Cratrium, row number 1, Odd Draxon carry out row 2, Born as Ghost, Joe Beardy in row 3, Stevie Superstack, Chaos Fox, Jacob TBOED, LSEM Barney. Those 4 are in row 4 and 5 to make up the top 10. Then it's ZA27, Cuda, Modern Weapon, AP1 Raccoon, Disco Joint, Fox Jason D, Beer, Fear the Fun, So Much to Fire, Food Tang, Grim, and Gumby Greg. Those last 5 being those 5 dirty lap drivers. All right, there's our countdown. Go ahead and get the audio going back in here. This should be fun. It should be interesting. I think we're going to have the field is going to be a lot more spread out than what we will see, what we've seen in the first 2 weeks, and what we'll see for the rest of the season. But every once in a while, you gotta have one of those kinds of races where you change it up, and kind of the discipline or the style of driving is a bit different from what we've come accustomed to through the first 4 races of Season 37. Here we go. RZ McQueen is off the line. Kick the tires. Light the fires. Week number 3 is underway out here at Circuit de la Sarthe. And toward the Dunlop chicane we go with Crate-Trim in tow. He's right there behind. Now we ride on board a little bit with RZ and McQueen. You get a view of what things look like with the stadium lights. And then it's going to get very, very dark. Now into the Dunlop chicane. And looking back behind, everybody staying in file. Nobody flying off the track this go-around. Now down the hill underneath the Dunlop Bridge toward the S's and then Tetra Rouge, which begins the march down the Mulsanne. And just as they qualified, at least that's where our top 4 stay. It's going to be McQueen, Crate-Trim, Carryout, Audrex, 1 through 4, followed by Joe Beardy, Born as Ghost, LS Barney, Chaos Fox, Stevie Superstack, and then Jacob TBOD. Let's go to Stevie because he's the one driver that we're going to have to look out for. Second overall on the leaderboard, 95 points to Crate-Trim's 97, and he's got to cut through some of the traffic here to catch up with that Amazon liveried BMW M3. He's right there on the back. Like, I don't think there's even room to slide a slip of paper between he and I believe that's Chaos Fox. It is. Let's go ahead and ride on board. Oh, how dark. And now Chaos Fox is going to exchange position there with Barney. That's going to be 7th. Stevie's going to do the same. Barney feeling like he's getting ganged up on here right now. And Stevie slowly trying to make his way back over to the left-hand side of the track as they get ready to pitch it to the right. And then shortly thereafter, the Mulsanne right-hander. So Stevie trying to set himself up nicely. It looks like Barney might be able to hold on to it, depending on what Stevie wants to do going into the right-hander of Mulsanne. A little bit of damage already to the passenger side of the M3 there on Stevie's car. And are they going to go 2, 3 wide into Mulsanne? Well, it's going to be at least 2. That's Barney on the outside, Stevie on the inside, and then back behind him in 10th, that's Fear the Fun, then Kuda, AP1 Raccoon in 12th, Jacob TBOED in 13th, Modern Weapon and Slow Motion Fire 14th and 15th respectively. Let's go back up to the front of the pack here with Crate-Trim. That's where he qualified, was in 2nd, and that's where he sits right now. Still back behind RZ and McQueen in 1st, then DOR, Carryout, and Audrex. No movement in the top 4. Now into the right-hander toward Indianapolis. Joe Beardy with a solid run right now. They're in 5th. Out of Arnage. Oh, Carryout. Yikes. He got really close there to the tire wall. I thought for sure he was going to nick it. He did not. And as they come up toward the start-finish line, we'll see if anybody is needing to pit. Did anybody get any damage there on lap number 1? The way that the field is kind of compact right now, not too spread apart, my guess is going to be no. That everybody fared pretty well there on lap number 1. Let's jump back to Carryout, who's now gotten around. Actually, Audrex has moved up to 3rd. Joe Beardy now closing on the back end of Carryout's M3 as we get a quick little ride on board here with Joe. Or actually, that's with Carryout with Joe back behind him still. And then we see Stevie up to 7th now. And as they cross the line, our top 6, 7, make that 8, 9, 10 are not going into pit lane, and I think everybody's good. Let's go to Funtang in 16th position. Pit lane looks free and clear. Go to disco joint here in 22nd. Oh no, disco joint is in the pit lane. So we are going to have one driver who is in the pit lane. And so for anybody who said that that somebody would, you're going to pick up some points care of Unku, who said, nope, nobody's going to go into pit lane. They're all going to be good. Here we go. We got some more participation there in the Twitch predictor. I love it. Let's keep it going. We'll have two more here for race number 2. One for qualifying and one for the actual race there out at Rio de Janeiro. Let's go to Joe Beardy in 5th, as he and Born as Ghost now on to the Mulsanne. And the driver's telling us there in week number 2 what would be interesting about Circuit de la Sarthe and the M3 here is that there might be a little bit of slipstream that they're able to work. And we did see that earlier with it was Chaos Fox and Stevie working their way around Barney, but it didn't seem like a very strong slipstream. Now on board here with Joe Beardy. And I appreciate y'all hanging out with us here on a Tuesday evening. If you are in the States and you're getting ready for the Thanksgiving holiday, thanks for spending a little bit of that preparation time with us here on the broadcast, watching the racing of the Forza Spec Racing Series. Just 3 weeks, or excuse me, well, two and a half weeks left to go after this race. We'll actually be at the midpoint here after the conclusion of the Circuit de la Sarthe race, and then our second race of the evening will begin the back half of season 37. Audrex able to get back up into, well, no, Audrex was in 4th. And so Audrex in 3rd right now and does seem to be closing in, maybe on Cratrium. Let's go take a look. Audrex, yeah, he does. He's got Cratrium not more than a half car length out in front of him. And sure enough, Audrex, Carry Out, Born as Ghost, and Joe Beardy all very close to one another as we see them go flying by here in the dark. Brings me flashbacks here to the to all the Le Mans 24-hour events that we've seen over the years. This year being a little bit different with the race being delayed until fall. Fall, back in what, September? And so there was a lot more darkness to that race than there typically is when it's run in the spring. Here goes Audrex in the Ryzen car. He slides it out a little bit there. Able to bring it back here as he gets through the Corvette corners. Up toward the beautifully lit Ferris wheel there to the left. And look at that. Cratrium puts a couple of wheels off toward the pit lane exit, just giving him that much more room to angle it into the Ford curves, the Ford chicanes. Try to cut right through them as straight a line as he can get. And now across the line, beginning of lap 3 of 7. RZM McQueen is now our race leader. Well, no, RZM McQueen's been our race leader after qualifying on the pole position. And what I mean to say is RZM McQueen now has a bit more of a lead there coming out of the Ford chicane and across the line, was able to get some separation because the last time, or when we joined these 4 drivers here at the top 4 with Cratrium, he was not this far back. But that lead has grown now as they enter the Mulsanne straight for the third time. Back to fifth, Born as Ghost. Born as Ghost, ninth on the leaderboard, tied with Chaos Fox at 64 points, just behind, that's 2 points behind Fear the Fun, 4 points ahead of Joe Beardy. Born as Ghost, I would say one of those drivers who joined, gosh, it seems like, well, maybe Born as Ghost has been here throughout the majority of the Forza Spec racing series that I've broadcast, but certainly one of those names that stands out to me as a driver that has improved season over season. And of course, in a spec series like this where the car changes from season to season and can change drastically in terms of vehicle performance, sometimes we'll see drivers who excel in one style versus another. But here's Born as Ghost running nicely in fifth position, and this will bode well for him in points, especially sitting ninth overall right now. Maybe leapfrog a few drivers here coming out of week number 3. We'll see. The points still get tallied up by slow motion fire at the conclusion of tonight's racing action, and you can see that scorebook as it's kept up to date there at reddit.com/r/FM4. And then, like I mentioned, if you follow me on Twitter, XVenture, same as the Twitch tag here, then once I have those posted up, you can check them out there and get an idea as to what things are going to look like for week number 4, which week number 4 is quite possibly the most exciting looking on the calendar for me. Road Atlanta and then the Nürburgring GP. That's going to be a good couple of races right there. Most certainly guaranteed. And even this one here out at Le Mans, not as stretched apart as I thought it was going to be. We're not halfway through this race yet, so it very well could end up going that way. But here comes Audrex now making a move around Craytrim. He's going to move up to second position. Well done by Audrex. Audrex, who picked up his first victory in the Forza Spec Racing Series back in week number 1 out at Circuit of the Americas, and now finding himself running in second, back behind RZ and McQueen. And actually, we can't even see RZ and McQueen's taillights from this angle. It's just Audrex with Craytrim in third, Carry Out in fourth. Fear the Fun is starting to creep into the picture now. He's into the top 5 in fifth. Then it's Born as Ghost, who's fallen back to 6th. Joe Beardy in 7th. Stevie, try as he might, he was able to get up to 7th from, I believe, 10th or maybe even somewhere around 12th. Stevie has dropped back to 8th position here in this one. And let's go take a look here at Stevie's vehicle situation and see if maybe he hasn't incurred a little bit of transmission or engine damage. Sometimes that can explain things. However, well, no, actually, there it is. 8% transmission damage, and without a doubt, that is peeling away tenths, hundredths, thousandths of a second. And with more than half the race left to go here, that's not gonna help him at all. As a matter of fact, dropping from 7th to 8th is one good indication that it could very well harm him for the rest of the race and may not be out of the it may not be beyond the odds of him dropping back even a few more positions, possibly right around and behind the top 10 spot. Back up to Fear the Fun here, and we'll see if Fear is perchance better driving in the night than he is in the day. And that's not to say that he's a bad daytime driver. But, we've talked about this, that Fear the Fun, he gets ambitious in his attempts to move up through the grid, and usually very early on in the race as well, which at this point I'd call it somewhat early, and has a tendency to kind of take himself out of position and out of the running as a result of that ambitiousness. And so let's see if maybe he just sits here for a little bit, waits for carry out, possibly even Krejcim or Drex to make a mistake, as opposed to trying to push it too hard. Then again, what do you have to lose? Might as well. He's got Born as Ghost. Still hanging out there with him. He got around Born as Ghost, but he hasn't been able to shed the headlamps from his rearview mirror. That's maybe one of the aspects about virtual racing that is sorely missed, is that you can imagine the intensity that would exist as a driver in any car at this time of night, in these conditions, with those headlamps just kind of just gleaming through your rear view mirror or into your rear view mirror, side mirrors, maybe getting a little bit of a shine off of your visor. And so while the unknowing of the darkness here, it certainly exists, I think Turns In has done a fantastic job at mimicking that. The craziness of these headlamps just shining down on you like a spotlight. That part not really realized here in the virtual world. Not the same lighting effect as they hit the right-hander toward Indianapolis. For the fun, now starting to lose a bit of Born as Ghost, about a half-second, 2-3 car length lead. Coming up now up to Arnage. Let's return to Drex in second position. Is he able to close the gap? Well, at least we see the 0-1 and just a faint rendering of the tail lamps out there. That would be RZ and McQueen on the horizon. Can Drex catch up? And it might be able to get the assistance of Krejcim in doing that. This might be one of those instances and one of those tracks where you could use a little bit of help from a fellow driver. A little bump drafting, a little slipstream action. Get the BMW M3 up a mile or two an hour quicker than what you'd be able to do if you're riding solo. And now we're starting to see the field stretch out a bit all the way from the start-finish line back to Arnage as our lead pack gets ready to initiate lap number 5. Ortizmo, sad I can't race tonight. Good luck, drivers. Yeah, I wish we had you out there on the track. You'd make a full grid out there. We've got 22, which on a holiday week is really, really good. I know Slow Motion Fire after the week 2 racing said, hey, Dustin, week 2 was just phenomenal. Just a heads up, week 3 might be a little lighter on participation because it is a holiday, but perhaps with the pandemic keeping people sheltered in place, why not keep on racing? As we see a little bit of, looks like a little bit of twilight there on the east side of the circuit. I don't know. There is a slight transition, lighting transition on some of the tracks here in Forza Motorsport 7. And I don't remember if Le Mans is one of those, but we might see a little bit of light come into the picture here as we near the end of the race, with almost 3.5 laps to go. And actually, I take that back because it's a 7-lap race as opposed to an 8-lap race, so we're down to 2.5 laps at this point. Our race leader remains to be RZ and McQueen, who qualified there with a 4:30 something rather. Then it was Drex, Krejcim, Carryout, or it is Drex, Krejcim, Carryout, who are 2nd through 4th with Fear the Fun in 5th. Born as Ghost is 6th, Joe Beardy in 7th, Stevie Superstack not able to get out of 8th right now with that 8%, at least the last time that we checked, 8% damage to the transmission. Chaos Fox in 9th, Kuda in 10th, Barney in 11th, Slow Motion Fire is in 12th. Then it's Funtang, Jacob, AP1 Raccoon, Modern Weapon, Beer, Grim, 19th Fox, Jason D, then Gumby Greg, Z827, and Disco Joint, 20th through 22nd. Back down and out of the Mulsanne they come. Mortismo says, emergency travel for me takes me away from home. Excited to see the chaos of Rio. It could be very chaotic out there at Rio. 48 laps on the mini circuit. It's going to be crazy. Here they go into the Mulsanne corner. Audrex keeping it nice and tidy. We have seen a few drivers, mainly during qualifying there. Fear the Fun runs it out well wide, and that's the line that you might be familiar with seeing drivers take during the Le Mans 24. Carbon, what's going on there? How's my boy Grim? Good question. I know I read Grim's name as I went through the field, but I don't remember what position. 18th position, leading the pack at the back, with Fox Jason D behind him in 19th. As we continue to hang out here with Audrex, Cratrium, and with Carryout. Let's go to Carryout and let's get a little bit of a view from the hood of his BMW M3 is coming out of Arnage. There's that tire wall that just kind of creeps up on you when the headlamps finally shine upon it. Mortismo saying, go Team Mullet. Who's Team Mullet? I don't know who Team Mullet is, but go them. You guys make sure you go find Carbon here on Twitch. And Carbon, my apologies. I did not know that I was not already a follower. So you guys, if you're not following Carbon with 2 R's and with a K, then make sure you do so. I think you can just click on his Twitch tag right there in the chat and follow from the convenience of this event, from the convenience of this chat room. You can do that. No movement here in the top 4. Fear the Fun is right there on the heels of Carryout. This is going to get exciting all the way to the end. He gives Carryout a little bit of a nudge, and I think that's all it takes for Carryout now to run off into the dirt. And sure enough, he's going to lose not just 1 spot to Fear, but now 2 to Joe Beardy, then Born as Ghost, and then he's got Stevie there in 8th with the transmission damage. Stevie's going to go the outside here at the Dunlop corner, or the Dunlop chicane, and Stevie's going to get by momentarily. Now, with that transmission damage that Stevie has, I'm guessing Carryout will be able to reclaim that spot here momentarily, and a little squiggly there coming out of the chicane and up the hill. And so Fear the Fun now up to 3rd position. No, 4th. Because Cratrium still occupies 3rd. And Fear the Fun now has Born as Ghost and Joe Beardy gang tackling him here, or at least trying to. Let's go take a look back on the X-Venture Rewind. As actually I'd catch just the very tail end of it there on the rewind. It did appear that there was a little bit of contact. Fear the Fun on the bumper of Carryout coming out of the 4 chicane. Let's go up to Cratrium in 3rd. See if he's able to reel in Audrex here. No Huracan tonight? No Huracan tonight. I don't think we saw him in qualifying, and we don't have him out here on the track. So Huracan did tell us at the beginning of season 37 that he was going to sit it out, and then showed up in week number 2. Probably didn't have the finish that he was looking for. In both instances, however, he opted out of qualifying and instead just started at the back of the pack. So that was Huracan making more of a game out of it there in week number 2 than really honestly trying to compete. And so perhaps he'll be out for the rest of the season, or maybe we'll see him reemerge here a little bit later on, either in week 4 or 5. As Born as Ghost now into the back of Joe Beardy coming out of the Mulsanne corner. And with that, Audrex is able to, both Audrex and Cratrim are able to sneak away from the trio that is Fear the Fun, Born as Ghost, and Joe Beardy. A little breathing room there, and see if Audrex and Cratrim don't decide to somehow work together here to have any chance at catching up with RZM McQueen. This would be RZM McQueen's first victory of season 37, if I'm not mistaken. Your Glad FM4 is very much alive. Yeah, Slow Motion Fire has done a fantastic job at keeping this series alive despite the nature of the Forza franchise. Even at a point where Forza Motorsport 7 is gone 3 years of age and without a replacement. Typically we would have had a replacement by now, and so some folks are starting to kind of depart the franchise a little bit, take a break. That being said, Slow and team have done a phenomenal job in recruiting and keeping folks coming in even as others drop out. Oh yeah, I'm seeing a little bit of light there on the east side of the track. It might be hard to make out on the broadcast, but it's definitely there. I don't know that we're really going to get much more than what we have with just the 1 lap remaining next time by the flag stand here. We'll get the white flag in the 7-lap race that is Le Mans here. Race number 5 of season 37. And this, again, will be the end of the first half of the season. And then we'll start the second half out at Rio. Across the line, Audrex, Cratrim. Cratrim's got to be planning something at this point. He's got to. I don't see him not. There's got to be an area here where Cratrim feels very confident, and at some point we'll make a run at Audrex here, who seems to be slightly off the pace versus earlier on. Audrex climbed up from either 4th or 5th to get up to 2nd, and it was seemingly starting to close in on the gap that was between he and McQueen, but now that has once again spread itself out, as McQueen already now out on the Mulsanne as Audrex comes out of Tetra Rouge with Cratrim. In 4th, Fear the Fun still, Born as Ghost in 5th, Joe Beardy in 6th, Carry Out able to get around Stevie there for 7th. Let's go to Carry Out momentarily here just to see if he's going to be able to, yeah, he's right there on the back of Joe Beardy. And so if he can get around Joe, then he might also be able to get around Born as Ghost. Well, it's Fear the Fun who's, because Carry Out now is up to 6th with Born as Ghost falling back to 7th. So somewhere there when I was switching cameras, Carry Out made that pass, and now he's trying to get one back. And Carry Out, like a homing missile, has Fear the Fun right up in front of him. What will happen here with a little bit less than half a lap remaining? Sammy J. Peps, you forgot about the races today. Oh no. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Right here, Next Venture. Where's your man going to finish in race 1? Looks like 8th position, unless he's fallen back even further. Yes, he is in 8th. He's got transmission damage, which is not allowing him to catch up with any of the other quicker drivers. And with that, Carry Out now moves up to 5th. And there's Fear the Fun. Let's go back up to Cratrium now, who is trying to get around Odd Drex. Every point matters, especially when you're Cratrium and you're only 2 points ahead of Stevie. Now, fortunately for Cratrium, Stevie is back where he is in 8th. However, if this ends up being Stevie's drop week, well, Cratrium's going to want to claim as many points as he can here, and that would include having to get around Odd Drex to get those 47 for finishing second. It'll be McQueen who picks up 50, and just already the way things are starting to look here in week number 3, our leaderboard heading into week 4 is going to be very, very busy at the top. Here's Cratrium, about a 2-car length separation now as they head into the Corvette curves, actually the Porsche curves first. Can he do it? Does he got it in the BMW M3 to make the pass? Now out of the Corvette curves with just the 2 chicanes remaining, which are not the ideal locations to get around. But let's see what he tries to do. Drex, nice and tidy there through that final, not the final left-hander. Brakes are applied through the first chicane and then through the second. RZ McQueen is going to become our leader here at Circuit de la Sarthe, race number 5 of the season. Odd Drex is going to grab second, Cratrium in third. Quickly back to 4th and 5th. Carryout is in 5th with Fear the Fun out in front of him. And where these two had an incident about 2 laps ago, Fear the Fun will pull out the finish there in 4th with Carryout in 5th. Behind him in 6th will be Born as Ghost and Joe Beardy. Stevie finishing in 8th, able to hold on to it despite that transmission trouble. SGR Chaos Fox in 9th, Barney in 10th, Slow Motion Fire in 11th, and it's Kuda Foontang. Let's go to 15th with Modern Weapon, Raccoon in front of him in 14th position, and that's where those two will finish. Behind him in 16th is Jacob TBOED. Then in 17th is Z827. He's been able to move up a few spots. Let's go to Disco Joint, though, who's right behind him in 18th. Can Z827 hold on? Carbon rooting on CT. Disco Joint maybe a little bit too far into the inside there. But it's not going to benefit him either way, and across the line they go. Z827 in 17th, Disco in 18th, Grim looks to finish in 19th with Fox Jason D in 20th. Bureau, Fox Jason D making contact there with the rear right quarter panel, and now they're getting in all kinds of a collision there. Beer's going to scoot on past both of them. Grim into 20th, Fox Jason D into 21st, and then I believe that was Gumby Greg, yes, in 22nd. Nice little dramatic, almost photo finish there for 19th position at the end of that one. All right, folks, well, we're going to go ahead, take a bit of a break while I take note of where everybody finished. When we come back, we're going to flip the light switch on because we're going to be back into the daylight of Rio de Janeiro. It's going to be very sunny out there. There will be no vision troubles. We will not have any darkness out in sunny seaside Rio de Janeiro. I'm going to go ahead and run a few ads. For those of you who are subscribers, congrats. You don't have to listen to the ads and all their silliness. And for those of you who are not subscribers, well, you can consider it either with your Twitch Prime subscription or with a monetary subscription. And all that goes directly back toward the broadcast, either in production or things like our raffle, with our fall raffle that we've got going on all the way till December 8th. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. But sit through the break, and we'll be back on the other side. I promise you, you won't be missing anything. You're watching the Forza Spec Racing Series, Season 37, Week number 3 here on X-Venture, live on Twitch TV. And welcome back to X Venture here live on Twitch TV, wrapping up the first race of the evening and actually the last race of the first half here of season number 37. And now we head into the back half. Before we do that, before we do the qualifying round out there at Rio de Janeiro, we'll first talk to a few drivers here in the driver's spotlight. Joe Beardy. Joe Beardy, welcome to the broadcast booth. Good to see you.
Yeah, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. Crazy race there. You had... Gosh, and you're going to have to remind me here because as I was trying to take notes, you guys were already departing your finishing positions there. I feel like you were in the top 10 then and then maybe fell back a little bit, or were you still underneath the top 10 or within the top 10?
I stayed in the top 10 the whole race. I qualified 6th, ended up 7th, but what did I make it up to? I kind of just floated right around 5th, 6th, 7th. I was making a push at Fear there at the end, but I just made a dumb mistake on the last lap and just kind of blew it, but yeah, we had a pretty tight battle there. Everyone trying to slice and dice for the last top 10 spots.
Yeah, it was quite the battle. And then you had Fear the Fun, who kind of made his way up through. DOR Carryout went off the track a little bit, had to make his recovery. You had Stevie Superstacks, who was trying to make his way up through, but then had some transmission troubles. So, I don't know. I was talking about it there during the broadcast. You maybe don't get the same feeling as you would in the real-world race car where you've got those headlamps just kind of beaming down into the car, and it's really adding to the frantic nature of racing. But still, it had to have been pretty chaotic and pretty nerve-wracking at some bits there, I have to believe.
Yeah, it was intense, man. I was looking at my Fitbit watch, and I was up in like the 120s. I'm on a wheel with a full cockpit setup, and I run either in-car or the nose cam view on the hood. So whole race was basically you're just staring at someone's bumper the whole time. You had to keep kind of poking out, see where the braking zones would be. You'd lose track on the Mulsanne straight that you had to like peek out to find where your braking zone would be so you didn't just nuke somebody going into that turn.
Now, see, there is an idea. I'm going to have to talk with Slow Motion Fire. Season 38, you all are going to be mandated to wear Fitbits. We're going to get a sponsorship, and then you guys are going to have to report your heart rate numbers to us as you go through each race.
Yeah, right. I know everyone needs their Apple Watches or something, heart rate monitors.
Love it. All right. Joe Beardy, you entered week number 3 in 10th position, 4 points back behind his Born as Ghost here. You guys were pretty close throughout this race. Even Chaos Fox was up there in line of sight for you. Where do you want to finish here when season 37 is done, knowing that we've already completed the first half of the season?
I'd say with all the drivers that have been racing for quite a few seasons, I think I belong in the top 10. I wouldn't say I've put enough focus into one of these series to actually try to run a good race every race to stay within points. I feel like I've always made a decent mistake to end up with a DNF or a poor finish that's hurt me without the drop round. So I'd say anywhere in the top 10, I'll definitely be pleased for finally putting in some time for a season. But if I made it anywhere near the top 5, I'd be pretty ecstatic with that, honestly.
Talking with Joe Beardy here in the driver's spotlight in between finishing of race number 1 this evening and then getting ready for qualifying of race 2 out at Rio. And, yeah, we're going from Circuit de la Sarthe, the old Mulsanne, with just the back straightaway, no chicane. So you're pedal to the metal there. Probably a very different setup, not only with aero, but maybe even your final gear there in the transmission. Are you having to make a bunch of tweaks here in the intermission?
Yeah, definitely big changes. So Mulsanne, that straight, everyone would just pretty much take downforce off. Now with Rio, kind of changing your braking, biased up quite a bit, front to rear, kind of how you want the car to pitch or set into a corner. And I think almost everyone's running full aero just to try to keep that car planted. As far as gearing, though, it's kind of hit or miss. Some guys are liking to run second, third, fourth. Some guys just like to try to get their tune to run second, third, or third and fourth. So, I'm mostly running third and fourth here on this tune at least. So we'll see how it does at least, but it's totally different. That was going from Daytona to now this is indoor karting per se, just to keep it between the barriers and don't die.
I like that. I like that analogy, going from Daytona to indoor karting. Rio, if you had to kind of summarize how excited or not excited you are for this race, what does it look like? Which way does it go?
I'm more excited for the tire barriers to go away after qualifying. That's what I'm more looking forward to. Just hug the inside, block, and I don't know, just plan for the best, plan for the best, hope for the worst, I guess. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I have no clue.
Gotcha, Joe Beardy. Well, best of luck to you here in qualifying. We'll be rooting on. Hopefully everybody can get through the mess that is going to be 38 laps out here at 48. 48 out here at Rio de Janeiro. I know there's no sim damage on, but still, it's going to be chaotic. Have a good one out there.
Yeah, you too, man. Take it
Thanks.
easy.
All right, we'll go ahead and bring in quickly here Z827. Z827, I feel like I saw you further up in the field there out at Circuit de la Sarthe about midpoint through the race, then saw you drop back into what seemed like maybe the 20s again. Y'all moved too quickly before I was able to take note, but I think you finished maybe 19th or 20th?
17th.
Oh, even better. 17th position. Yeah. Sorry, don't let me drag you down. Go ahead and claim all those spots that you can. Did something go wrong, or was it just the natural, once the field started to get in the groove, that's kind of where you fell back?
Well, first lap, someone got into me real good on the rear just after Mulsanne straight.
Yeah.
Damaged the car pretty good, so I had to pit. And so that set me back a little bit, but fought back, and I'm happy with how things turned out.
Okay, feeling pretty happy about that. You were 20th overall coming into week number 2 here, trying to make up some points to maybe see if you can't climb higher there in that top 20 leaderboard. What about you in Rio? What's the relationship of Z827 and the mini circuit that is Rio here that we've got for race number 2 tonight?
Honestly, before I practiced here, I've never raced on this course.
Oh, wow.
I've raced regular Rio. Plenty of times, but Rio Mini, especially in reverse, it's a whole new beast for me.
A foreign track. Yeah, it's a fictional track and then also a foreign one. I don't even quite know for myself where the turns are going to be and all that. We'll just have to play it by ear as we get into qualifying. After this, though, we look ahead to week number 4, Road Atlanta, Nürburgring, and then Sebring. Is there one particular track, if it's not Rio next, that you're looking forward to most?
Definitely Sebring. Sebring's always a lot of fun. So especially with it being the endurance race, is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And in the rain is going to be a real game changer for us. So we'll have to look forward to that, definitely.
That we will. Doubly fun, both endurance race and in the rain. Of course, that is our finale, which is still 2 weeks away. So not getting too caught up in what's out in the future there. But Z827, I don't know, give us a thought here. What time are you expecting in terms of your qualifying? Do you have an idea of what your qualifying time looks like here at Rio? I know you said you haven't had a lot of familiarity with it, but have you done at least a couple of practice laps?
Yeah, from the practice I've done, a couple days worth of practice, I'd say I'm looking at mid to upper 30s for qualifying time, hopefully.
All right.
So we'll see.
Very good. Well, we'll see how you do there in qualifying, and maybe we'll talk to you after the race. Thank you so much there, Z827.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Throw Z827 back into the queue as they get ready to go to qualifying out here at the mini circuit, and that will be our prediction. What do you think will be the prevailing, well, not the prevailing, what will be the quickest time for our drivers out here? What will be the quickest qualifying time? As I type this into our Twitch predictor, what will be the quickest qualifying time? And let's go, I don't know, let's say 38 seconds or quicker, or, well, actually, let me do quicker than 38 seconds. And then let's do Let's do 38 seconds or slower. And we'll go ahead and let that one roll here for 2 minutes. Got to be quick here. Got to be quick on the predictor because we're rolling out to qualifying. Rio de Janeiro, short circuit. I keep calling it the short circuit. It's not even the short circuit. It's so short that it's the mini circuit. And it is in reverse. Not that that really matters. Forward or reverse, they're all forward to me. Oh, okay, I'm familiar with this one. This is the one let me pull the audio down there as we were riding on board with our first driver to get off the line. That's Stevie Superstack. Yeah, this is the track that we did our gosh, what is it called? It was one of the achievements, the achievement that we were aiming to get for a lot of our drivers who were hoping to knock it out here in Forza Motorsport 7, the Xbox achievement. And there are those tire barriers, which you may remember that Joe Beardy said, hey, I'll be looking forward to this track more so once the tire barriers are gone. And what he's suggesting is that, well, not suggesting, what he's telling us is that after the qualifying concludes and they go into the actual race, Soul Motion Fire will actually turn Forza race regulations on so that it removes the barriers, and Soul Motion Fire and the crew have given the drivers permission to go ahead and use those, I don't know what you would call them, the curved areas, basically be able to shoot right through there where those tire walls currently reside. So we're going to see a little bit of a different line during the race itself, but for the sake of qualifying, they have the Forza race regulations turned off. That way the tire barriers are out there, keeping the drivers on the part of the track that they're supposed to run. That way they have an understanding, a firm understanding of where they're going to get their clean, quick lap times, because that's what you're going for here in qualifying, a clean qualifying time. Let's go and take a look at the stats there. Bottom left-hand corner, it's going to be Stevie with a 38.349. And I said, will the top qualifying time be quicker than 38? So will somebody do it here on their third qualifying time as we see Stevie, again, in that Amazon car, coming around that final left-hander. A little bit of a hairpin. Well, actually, no, it's not a hairpin left-hander. Rather a kind of a bit of a long drawn-out corner before you cross the line and then go into a hairpin. But Stevie still with a 38. Second quickest belongs to Carry Out, then Fear the Fun, then Cratrium, and Audrex. McQueen all the way back there in sixth. Sixth quickest time right now. And I believe the majority of them are done. Actually, no, I take it back because Fear the Fun now just crossing the line. Here comes McQueen. Will McQueen's time be quicker? It is not. So Stevie hanging out there at 38.235. And as I take a look at our Twitch predictor, quite a few. Well, one person said that there was going to be a quicker lap time than 38 seconds. There was no opposing vote. Had somebody else voted on the no side of, or on the 38 seconds or slower, they would have won that one. 38 seconds or slower was the actual result. As we take a look here, it's 38.235 for Stevie, 39.060 for Disco, 39.281 for Chaos Fox, then a 38 for Cratrium, 38.742 for Carryout, 39.522 for Fox Jason D, a 38.6 there for Fear, 39.8 for Raccoon, 41.0 for Grim, Gumby Greg with a 41 double lot 8. Audrex with a 38.8, Funtang 39.4, RZ and McQueen with a 38.4, Barney a 39.5, Modern Weapon with a 39.7, 38.8 for Kuda, 38.9 for Joe, 39.9 for Beer, 38.7 for Bourne, Z827 coming in with a 39.861. He said mid to high 38s. Nailed it. Soul Motion Fire with a 39.150. So nobody able to get under the 38-second mark. No winners. No winners. But it will be Steve, who is on pole. And Sammy J. Pep says Steve is going to bring the stacks. We'll see. We'll see if he does. We got DOR Carryout. And I don't know, somehow I got out of the interview queue, but now I'm back in it. DOR Carryout with a 38.742. I don't know, what is that good for you? Row 3? Row 2 or 3? Yeah. Satisfied?
Yep. I went a little bit faster in practice, but I did a little bit of change up on the car, and I think it hurt it a little bit.
Oh, run that one back real quick.
I said I went faster, and when I was practicing, I did like a 38.2, and then I did a little change up to the car, and it made it slower.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I see what you're saying. Something about that threw me off there for a second. What I was going to ask before you clarified that it was a change to the car was whether or not it was a distraction of all the drivers. Here we are on the mini circuit. You have all those ghosted vehicle apparitions out there on the track, but now we take away the ghosting and we get out for the real deal with everybody making contact with one another. How crazy is it going to get out there?
First couple of laps are going to be interesting, to say the least.
They will be a little bit interesting, and then even after that, once you start encountering the back markers, that'll be interesting, something to watch right there. Let's go ahead and take a trip back to our first race of the evening out there at Circuit de la Sarthe. You and Fear the Fun going to the final right-hander toward the start-finish line there of the 4 chicanes. It looked like maybe a little bit of contact, which had you run wide. Was that the case or no?
It was, but it was my fault. Missed my turning point for that last chicane and had to tap my brakes a little bit, and it caused him to hit me. So that was all on me.
You were able to get 2 of those spots back. The only one that you weren't able to recover was the one that Fear the Fun ended up occupying there in 4th position, finishing 5th. Was that pretty much where you saw yourself finishing out there at Circuit de la Sarthe in the dark, or should you have finished a little bit further up?
Well, originally I saw myself finishing in 1st, but then again, McQueen and them kind of just blew past me and ended up 5th.
I should have known better. If you're a racing driver, you always see yourself finishing 1st. Well, maybe not
That's
always,
right.
but you aspire to that for sure. What about here at Rio de Janeiro? Does the fact that you have the back markers and the chaos that is this race, sure, you don't have the simulation damage, so that's not going to play in. But does the craziness of the race lend for more opportunities to maybe, hey, finish in 1st, despite the fact that you're here on row number 3 for the start?
There's more opportunities for that, yes. But then again, everybody's going to be dealing with everybody at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So the back markers will come into play, and it'll just be interesting.
It will indeed. Speaking with DOR Carryout here in the driver's spotlight. Carryout, I know you probably were hoping for a lot more points here in season number 37, currently in 13th position overall behind Jacob TBOED. You've got 56. I'm guessing maybe get into the top 10, top 8 here would be a satisfying and successful finish of season 37?
Yeah, if I can get into the top 10 after this race, I will be okay with that.
Gotcha. All right, DOR Carryout, best of luck to you here out at Rio. All right, there we go. Carryout, pretty quick with words here tonight. He made it clear that it was his fault out there at Rio de Janeiro that he let up and kind of decelerated a little bit sooner than he should have into that final corner. I don't know that decelerating early is necessarily grounds for you being at fault when you get run off the track, but hey. That's the way that Carryout sees it, so we'll go ahead and respect that, and then says, sure, there might be an opportunity to finish 1st here. Everybody's going to have to deal with back markers. It's not going to be something that anybody's going to be able to avoid. So with that, if even the top drivers get slowed down, or if there's some sort of incident, could lend the opportunity to come away with a surprise victory starting there in row number 3. So we'll see if that happens for anybody who's not necessarily in the top 2 rows or in the front 2 rows. Pole spot, again, going to be going to Stevie Superstacks. And then based on those qualifying times, I believe it was Cratrium who's going to be opposite of him with a 38.825. No, not at all. Instead, there's our countdown. Let's get back. Let's get back to the action here. Stevie Superstack, RZ and McQueen, then Fear the Fun and Carryout. That's your top 4. And then as we were talking there with Carryout, he said row 3, but there we find them on in row 2, P4. We are down to 21 drivers, so did we lose somebody? We must have lost somebody. As we go along here, I'll try to figure out who that might be. But let's go ahead and let's set the predictor, the Twitch predictor. And let's set it to can McQueen go back-to-back? And by that, I mean, can he finish first in this race? We'll go ahead and give you, let's go 10 minutes on that one. We'll give you some time to think that one over and even see the racing unfold. Here we go. Kick the tires, light the fires. Our second race of the evening out here at Rio de Janeiro. The mini circuit in reverse is underway. Stevie's going to lead them into that hairpin with McQueen there in second. Then it's going to be Fear the Fun in third. Born as Ghost in fourth. And oh my gosh, Stevie Superstack, like he's got a punch of NOS there, just leaves the rest of the field in the dust. I mean, he truly looked like he accelerated out of there like nobody else could. And with that, he comes out of the left-hander, the final left-hander, and toward the start-finish line with what I'm going to call a sizable lead for such a short circuit. He's already got about a 4-car length lead at this point. McQueen in second. He's being challenged there by Fear the Fun. Now Fear the Fun drops back a little bit. Let's go to DR Carryout, who we were just talking to there in our driver spotlight. Finished fifth behind Fear the Fun out at Circuit de la Sarthe. Now looking to come away with a top 3 if he can hold on to it here over the next, 47 and a half laps. There's a lot of them, 48 laps here in this one because it is such a short circuit. And DOR Carrier does seem to be keeping somewhat of a pace there with McQueen. Born as Ghost in fourth, Cratrum in fifth, Audrex in sixth, Kuda in seventh, Joe Beardy in eighth, Disco in ninth. Fear the Fun has fallen all the way back to 10th. And I don't think that was as sloppy a start as I would have expected. That actually was rather clean. We do have one driver who is well behind the rest of the pack, and that's going to be Fox Jason D there in 21st position. Again, simulation damage is turned off on the vehicles. That is to say that the vehicles, if they collide with one another or with the environment, the walls, they won't sustain any damage. The only damage that is applied to the vehicles is the degradation of the tires and the depletion of the fuel tank. However, neither of those two will actually have any effect on this race whatsoever. Here comes Audrex, who looked like he was a little bit hot on the brakes there into turn 1 and 2. And now he accelerates, leaving, that's going to be 6th position of Kuda, 7th of Joe Beardy, 8th of Cratrim. Cratrim is now fallen back quite a bit. Let's go to Cratrim. Cratrim now back to 10th position. Yikes, that's not going to be good after getting that 3rd place finish out there at Circuit de la Sarthe. This week number 3 may very well be shaping up to be Cratrim's drop week if it keeps going south like this. Stevie still our race leader. McQueen in second, Carryout in third, Born as Ghost in fourth. Born as Ghost having quite the performance here today. Audrex in fifth. They go screaming into this left-hander. And yes, the tire walls are taken down for this race, for this race. And so it does allow them to kind of carry some of that speed through there, unlike what they had during qualifying. The only difference is now they've got the surrounding traffic. So while you may have a tendency or a desire to go in there full speed or at least quicker than you would have at qualifying, you do have to look out for the traffic or those around you. Here comes Joe Beardy now throwing a little bit of tire smoke as he peels out the tires coming out of turn 2. Let's go to Kuda in 6th. Let's ride on board. Kuda looking to the inside here of Audrex. Can't make it stick. Audrex's outside line, maybe a bit quicker. The Beamer World livery there of Cuda 93. I think that's new. Maybe a new livery here coming out of week number 2. And here comes Fear the Fun to the inside of Joe Beardy. And Joe Beardy and Fear the Fun, they're going to go side by side. Let's drop back to that battle there. Joe Beardy holding on to 7th, at least for now. And look at that. Fear the Fun all up in his business. And he's got shattered windshields and the whole bit there does Fear the Fun's car. He's muscling his way through the field here as he tries to catch back up to, I mean, he was in 3rd at one point. Now in 7th. With Cuda and Audrex now in front of him. Stevie still our race leader. McQueen is catching up, however. Let's go to 2nd place. As the M3 kind of bounces up over the bumps. The curbing makes contact with the guardrail. And here we go, beginning of lap 10 of 48. You got a little less than 4 minutes remaining to make your prediction. Can McQueen go back-to-back? Nobody has voted yet. Let's get some votes. Let's get some Twitch predictions. Here comes McQueen. Now shortening that gap to about 5 car lengths. Stevie does seem to have the better acceleration. I saw it right out the gate here on lap number 1. Right after turn 2, this hairpin right here, Stevie's setup appears to be on a whole nother level. Now McQueen does seem to kind of close things up a little bit once they get into the slower bits. But then as soon as Stevie mashes the accelerator, he's gone. There we go. We've got 1 vote from Kilo saying that McQueen will go back-to-back. Anybody want to challenge that? Somebody's got to. Somebody's got to say, hey, nah, McQueen's not going to do it. It's going to be Stevie, or it's going to be maybe even somebody further behind. Carry out in 3rd, Born as Ghost in 4th, Audrex is 5th, Cuda in 6th, Fear the Fun in 7th. Let's go to Fear the Fun. There's actually a 3-way battle here for 5th, and they are 3 wide coming out of turn number 2. Now Fear the Fun got to make the double pass. He's up to 5th. That leaves Cuda in 6th, Audrex in 7th. And now here they're going to do it again. Because Cratrim's going to get into the mix. Cratrim also was in the top 4, top 5 for the start of this race before falling back. And so he's trying to reclaim some spots. He's going to be onto the inside here of Audrex, coming back up to turn number 1 on lap 13. Cratrim, and he's not going to try for it right now. Let's go back to that X-Venture rewind. Oh, and just missed it. I'm late on the replay trigger here tonight. Looks to be about a minute remaining there in our Twitch predictor. Will McQueen win this race? If you believe so, say yes. If you don't think so, say no. He's trying to go back-to-back after picking up the victory there at Circuit de la Sarre. Fear the Fun a little sideways on the entry into turn 1. And with that, that allows Cuda to kind of close in there on the rear right quarter panel. And, oh, he got the car a little unsettled. That, or he turned in a little early, and that's going to allow Cuda to make the pass. At least for now. Can he make it stick here into the final left-hander? He does. As a matter of fact, he goes ahead and blocks Fear the Fun. You can't make a pass when there's guardrail out in front of you there, Fear. Cuda making sure he can't get by, and now here comes Fear the Fun to the inside. Going to reclaim it. Well, actually, it looked like he turned in a little too early there once again. And so with that, they're going to go side by side, back up to turn number 3. And a little switchback means that Kuda is going to stay there on the driver's side door of Fear the Fun. And watch this, he's going to do it again, I bet you. Sure enough, he's going to go ahead and jam Fear. And you don't want to make contact with that guardrail because the Forza physics here, and probably fairly realistic to real life, the guardrail is going to slow you down. And actually there, Fear the Fun was looking to the inside, but Audrex already had it occupied, and now here they go 3 wide, coming out of turn number 2. It's going to be Fear the Fun sandwiched in the middle. Kuda on the outside, Audrex on the inside. Into turn number 3, Audrex and Fear the Fun. A little bit of rocker panels making some sparks there. And at least for now, it looks like Audrex is up to 5th, Kuda in 6th, Fear in 7th, Cratrim in 8th. And now we've got even another car that's going to be Disco Joint. They're in 9th position. Oh, this is going to be a fun one. They've got different driving styles, different lines that they want to take, each with their pros and cons. But hey, it's working for Kuda so far to include a little bit of defensive driving there, making sure that Fear the Fun can't extend the track as much as he would like. Oh, and now it's Kuda who runs wide. Out of 3, that's going to allow Audrex to come up. Now Fear the Fun's to the inside. Makes a little collision there on Audrex. Is actually just a little rubbing. That's just racing right there. That's nothing to be worried about at all. But Audrex now up to 5th position. Fear the Fun in 6th. I guarantee it won't last long there. Cratrim now to the inside here of Kuda. Kuda looking to fall back. It's Disco Joint. Disco Joint, however, is going to make the move. A double pass there on Kuda and Audrex. And actually now Kuda up to 7th because Disco somehow got slowed down there. This is like 52 card pickup. We just throw them in the air and we'll see who picks up the quickest and where they all lie. It's going to be Audrex now in 5th, Fear the Fun in 6th, and Audrex, he doesn't want any more. He doesn't want any part of this anymore. He's going to start to leave, and Fear the Fun following suit. And we see a little bit further behind there, Kuda maybe dealing with one of the back markers. Oh, and is that Fear the Fun? No, that's was that? Well, maybe it was Fear the Fun. Little tank slapper there on the concrete barrier coming out of turn 2. As we play it back here on the X Venture Rewind. And yeah, it was Fear the Fun who did his best Tanner Faust impression there, drifting up right up under the concrete barrier. All right, so Stevie Superstack is our race leader. Let's go to McQueen in 2nd as our race leaders now start to approach not just a back marker, but the whole back of the field. And so this is where everybody's going to be vulnerable. Everybody's going to be susceptible to the trial and error that is going to be navigating around the back markers with these back markers not wanting to give any ground, because as we see here, it's 14th on back to 17th. So there's points at stake here, and these drivers aren't going to easily give up. And just like that, Stevie Superstack into the side of Modern Weapon. Modern Weapon probably not taking too kind to that approach there by Stevie. Stevie can't do anything about it except for to trudge on, because he's got McQueen right there behind him. And if he tries to let up any to show a sign of remorse to Modern Weapon, well, he'll give up a spot. Go back to that here on the rewind. And it's not like Modern Weapon, I don't think he turned into him. I think it was just Stevie was, he had no plans to slow it down any. And now we see McQueen trying to get out the way the best. Well, not McQueen get out the way the best he can. It's LS Barney and Chaos Fox and others who are trying to be mindful of the fact that they have the race leaders in the vicinity. But again, I mean, with 5 of your closest opponents around you, you don't want to just give up ground and speed. And now, at least at this juncture of the race, very early on, Stevie and McQueen are going to have a little bit of room to breathe. Slow Motion Fire there in 12th. Chaos Fox in 13th. We've got Carryout in 3rd. Born as Ghost in 4th. Audrex in 5th. Fear the Fun is in 6th. Kuda is in 7th. Kratrium in 8th. Kratrium just not having a great run here out at Rio. How much you want to bet Kratrium did not pick this track to be run in Season 37? And to the inside of Grim is Kuda. As Kuda gets around Grim, the back marker there in 21st position. Let's go back up to our second place driver, RZM McQueen. Since they do have that clean air, what is this battle going to look like here for the next few laps while they do have the opportunity to breathe a bit, stretch their legs? Stevie coming out wide and then bringing it back in toward the apex, whereas McQueen kind of just lines up on that inside line as soon as possible. Just 2 different variations of the entry there into turn number 1. Which one will pay off? Oh, Slow Motion Fire. Getting a little wobbly coming off the curbing. Almost went head first into the barrier. Right on board here with McQueen. And that's about as close as he's been all race. Stevie Superstack qualified in pole, departed the group. It was really the emergence of the back markers that slowed him down and has brought these two as close together as they are at this point at the end of lap number 28. Saddle Up Sundays here on X Venture, the Red Dead Redemption 2 playthrough. Episode 2 coming up here on Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time as we jump into what is going to be chapter number 2 there of Red Dead Redemption 2. Dutch Vanderlyn and the gang have set up at the Horseshoe Overlook. What's in store for them as they try to get things back on track? 10 a.m. Eastern, right here on X Venture. Saddle Up Sunday. Oh, and Grim is head first in the tire barrier. That actually almost held Stevie Superstack up. Stevie had just enough room to get around, but now here comes RZM McQueen to the inside. They're going to go side by side down the stretch, coming up to turn number 1 here on lap 31. And they've got more of those pesky back markers coming into the view. That's okay, though. You're just going to have to work around them. Gumby Greg will be the next one on tap. And let's see here as they go into turn number 3. McQueen's got it for right now. If what I saw about Stevie Superstack's car is correct, however, he has some sort of gearing or tuning to his M3 that gives him a bit more acceleration. That, or I was just imagining things earlier on in the race. We'll see here as this one continues on. Gumby Greg wisely on the brakes there at the entry of turn number 1, but then kind of comes back into the picture there. And just like that, he is going to split these two apart. He's like the boxing judge of like, hey, guys, go ahead back to your corners. And so here comes Stevie now finally getting around him. Not finally, but at least halfway through. Lap number 32 does make it past. And we'll have to try to close the gap here, which is now up to about 2.5 car lengths. McQueen trying to go back-to-back after getting the win at Circuit de la Sarthe. Oh, no, Joe Beardy's turned around. That's got Stevie right there onto the back bumper of McQueen, who barreled into him. Makes a pretty good recovery. I think that's about as good a recovery as McQueen could have hoped for. But now here comes Stevie to the inside. He makes the pass. And once again, Stevie is our race leader. So for 2 laps there, McQueen gets it. But then gets held up and falls back a spot. McQueen's not going to wait for another opportunity. He's going to get right back up there onto the side of Stevie. Now drops back. Looks to the inside again here at 3. Oh, well done, although a little squirrely. We've seen that with Slow Motion's car. You could tell it there on that second hump. The car gets up into the air. It relieves the load on the springs, and that changes the dynamic of your handling, your steering. And so what's probably happening there is you're losing that load off the suspension, and then drivers are trying to articulate, just make those little tiny finite adjustments, but that's all it takes to get squirrely because you've got no weight on those tires. And so they come off there looking all kinds of squirmish until the suspension finally gets loaded back up. And McQueen has recovered P1, but let's go back there with Stevie making the move about 2 laps ago. That move to the inside, a move that we've seen Fear the Fun make a lap or two, or a time or two here in this race at Rio. And once again, I'm Dustin Moore. Thank you very much for tuning in to X Venture. If you're enjoying your time here and you haven't yet clicked that follow button like Sammy J. Peps did a couple of weeks ago, please do. Be greatly appreciated. It shows me that the channel is providing you some sort of entertainment. And that way, whenever you do follow, it makes it that much easier to find the channel in the future when we do go live, which, predictably so, on Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll be back live a week from tonight with week number 4, and then 2 weeks from tonight, the week 5 finale and the conclusion of our fall raffle entry period. Make sure you get those channel points in. Every 1,000 can be redeemed for an entry. Every entry gets you another chance to win the $50 digital gift card. Your choice, should you be selected. RZ and McQueen now with a sizable lead. A Big Mac sized lead here on Stevie Superstack. So let's go to Craytrim, who still has not been able to crack into the top 7. He sits here in 8th. With Kuda, who's looking like a formidable force here out at Rio de Janeiro. That Beamer World car is got P7 on lock right now. Two very different lines there. No, that was not Kuda running off the track or struggling to handle the car. No, Kuda just has a very disparate approach to that of Cratrium, at least going into turn number 3. Let's see if he replicates it here to give you an idea of what I mean if you didn't see it on the last time by. And so just like that, yeah, you see Kuda, and he's not as wide as he was last lap, but he wasn't even in view there with the camera. Cratrium now looks to get P7. He's going to get it. Can he hold on to it? That's the question. Fear the Fun in 6th. Audrex in 5th. Born as Ghost in 4th. Let's go to Born as Ghost, who's got DOR Carryout in front of him in 3rd. And really, in terms of the top 5, this is the closest battle out there. And it's going to get that much closer as they've got a slew of cars in front of them. It's going to be Chaos Fox, Gumby Greg. Looks like about half our field is still on the lead lap. Check that. A little bit less than half the field. Funtang, who is the last on the lead lap, in 9th position, about to be overtaken by McQueen. Z8 27 in 16th. Modern Weapon in 17th position. Modern Weapon's car. Oh, it's been beat up. It's been taking a beating there, you can tell. It's got that No Coast Brewing livery that I can't even make out really what it says anymore. So many ripples in the metal and scrapes. Oh, we've got a car here at the hairpin. Nose in. And just having to wait for traffic to go by. That is Grimm in 21st position. And he does it again. And goes ahead and just slams it back into the wall there while traffic gets by for Fox, Jason D, Joe Beardy, and Beer. Grimm struggling here with the 276 horsepower BMW M3. They do have the 2.6 liter inline 6 twin turbo swap under the hood. So for those of you wondering why this B-Class by default M3 is now a C500 performance index car, well, that's because they downgraded the motor. It's got a sport flywheel, race brakes, sport springs and dampers, race front and rear roll bars, race chassis reinforcement and roll cage. Then you've got a sport clutch, transmission, race driveline, and race differential with sport tire compounds wrapped around ADV 15 track spec CSs, 225 40 19s up front, 255 35 19s in the back, race front bumper, race rear wing, engine swap that I just mentioned, the 2.6 liter twin turbo. RZ McQueen, our race leader. Stevie Superstack, who qualified on pole in 2nd. Born as Ghost. I can't say it enough. He's just having a phenomenal run here in week number 3. Currently in 3rd. Audrex in 4th. Carryout in 5th. And that's where we go right now. The battle for 4th with Carryout here to the outside. Audrex to the low line. Lots of smoke there out the back of Chaos Fox, or actually that might have been Carryout's rear right tires. Oh, and there goes Chaos Fox, spun around. We're gonna keep it right here, though. I'm not gonna move the camera. Carry out on Audrex's tail. Lap 48. The white flag flies for our race leader, McQueen. Let's go to Stevie Superstack. The distance between he and McQueen is a bit too large to overcome, I believe. And with the traffic in between them, it makes it that much more of an obstacle. And with that, McQueen is going to come away as the back-to-back winner here in week number 3 of season 37. Stevie, who finished in 8th there in race number 1 of the night, finishes now in 2nd. This very well could be Stevie's drop week. Morna's Ghost will grab 3rd. Audrex will go to 4th, and they're just going to go ahead and drop the checker flag on everyone at this point because of the fact that so much of the field is off the lead lap. And so where they finish here coming across the line and into the hairpin is where they finish for good. Or where they are coming into the hairpin is where they finish for this race. McQueen, well done. For somebody who, like I said, over the last couple of seasons has been so competitive, but the AMS brothers of Storm and Huracan just have not given him the chance to be in the running. Well, that may have just changed here tonight. McQueen came into week number 3 in 3rd position behind Stevie and Cratrim with 90 points. The 100 here tonight, that's going to mean a world of difference. Okay, folks. Same rules apply here as our first race. I'm going to go ahead and run a few ads. We'll be back to talk to a couple of our drivers here in the driver spotlight, so don't miss that. We'll do a little bit of a preview of what's ahead here for week number 4 and week number 5. You're watching X Venture here live on Twitch TV. I'm Dustin Moore. We'll be right back. And welcome back to X Venture live on Twitch TV. Wrapping up things here in week number 3. We have entered into the second half of season 37 with the 2005 BMW M3, finishing up a race out at Circuit de la Sarthe and Rio de Janeiro here tonight. Coming into the driver's spotlight, I've got Fear the Fun, who normally joins us here in the Forza Spec Racing Series to provide his commentary. Fear, you finished in, I think it was, 4th out at Circuit de la Sarthe and 6th here at Rio.
Yes, sir, I did.
Was that as chaotic as it looked there, that last race out at Rio?
I was absolutely chaotic, but it was a lot of fun.
That was going to be my next question, is at what point does kind of the chaos of an event like this on a short circuit just almost inherently become fun? Because very rarely in these races, no matter how long they are, I mean, they're like 30, 40-minute long races, but very rarely do you have this much traffic to navigate. And so it kind of adds a little bit more of an element of excitement, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I was watching me whittle down time on Audrex, and then he switched to carry out, and I got tunnel visioned on carry out, and I took out Chaos Fox, who was a back marker, and in a completely different race for position, and I feel so bad for that. That was absolutely my bad, but it was an extremely fun race.
Very cool. Well, it's always good to hear from any driver that says, my bad, the situation, I could have maybe done something a little bit differently. Let's jump back quickly to the Circuit de la Sarthe race. We were watching you and Dior carry out, I think, on maybe like lap 5 there of 7, going into the final right-hand turn of the Ford chicane toward the start-finish line. It looks like he got a little bit of a nudge going off into the dirt. He says he was maybe a little bit too early, too soon on the braking. I'm guessing maybe just an unfortunate collision there.
Unfortunate. I thought it was my fault. He said it was his fault, so I'll just chalk it up to a racing incident and move on.
There you go. Here you are coming into week number 3, and I got my standings here. Yes, you came into week number 3 at 66 points behind AMS Huracan. AMS Huracan, now this makes 2 weeks that he's not participated, so that would be another goose egg, which brings you up another spot. Then you got Slipstream, did not participate here tonight. That means you're going to be in the thick of it here with Audrex. Heck, maybe even McQueen. Stevie Superstacks could drop back a little bit. So you got to be pretty excited, not only because of the action here tonight, but what the next 2 weeks hold.
Well, if I don't wreck out, I know Slipstream is going to miss another week in 2 weeks because of his job schedule now. So I should be in a top 5 position maybe. Mm-hmm. And that's what I've been aiming for forever. And it helps that Huracan isn't racing as often right now. But everybody's gotten faster. It's such a fast group of people. Like last week, I couldn't catch up to nobody. Nobody could catch up to me. These cars are very well balanced and they're very fun.
Yeah, everybody is very, very quick. I mean, one person who stands out to me here tonight, not only at Rio, but that also at Circuit de la Sarthe, is Born as Ghost. I know he's kind of typically a little bit behind you, but found his way in front of you here for the second race. What do you think that's attributed to? Are folks getting more familiar with each other, and so maybe they're understanding how to drive one another a bit better, or is it because of the car? The car is providing such great racing.
Well, when it comes to Bourne, he's getting faster with every season, which is like one of the main reasons why FM4 exists. We like to make people faster. We call ourselves the beer league of racing leagues for Forza. Let's see if people are fast enough to move on to maybe a Toro, Aurora, or Le Mans Esports, or even Forza RC. That's what we do. But at the same time, this car is very even, and I find myself struggling with people I've never struggled with before. Or if I did struggle with them, it was a long time ago when we were at the same speed.
Talking with Fear the Fun here in the driver's spotlight, finishing 6th out at Rio de Janeiro, the mini circuit in reverse. Now we get a little bit back to the real world here, as real as we can be in virtual racing. Week number 4, Road Atlanta, Nürburgring. I think you tell us a time or two that you're always excited for Road Atlanta. How about the Nürburgring GP?
You know what? I was okay at the Nürburgring GP when we were doing the practice races for Test and Tune, but I don't know. Nürburgring's one of those tracks where you're either on or you're off, and last time I did it in a competitive setting, I think it was when you hosted that Cayman race, and I did absolutely terrible on it.
Oh, the good old Cayman Club Sport GT3 race. I do remember it. Fear the Fun, last question for you here tonight, the one that I'm curious to get an answer from. I don't know if you're going to give me a straight answer, but Audrex, Stevie Superstacks, heck, I'll even throw McQueen in there. Which of those three drivers are you most likely to maybe overtake here in these last 2 weeks in terms of points?
God, you're putting me on the spot because I don't think I could pass any of them in points.
Okay.
Audrex he's found another gear in the past few seasons.
He did.
Stevie came in and he's swinging like a big dog, and there's no way I'm ever going to pass McQueen. There's a reason why he's RCM McQueen, why he's been in Forza RC and all that good stuff. He's fast.
Yeah. Very good. Well, that's a very responsible racing answer or driver answer. I could take that one and accept it. So, Fear the Fun, great job here tonight. I know you may be hoping for another 2 spots up on the leaderboard in terms of not only the final standings, but then also in the races next week. If you can get up there 4th and 3rd and maybe even 2nd, that'll be awesome. Any shout-outs here tonight?
No, not really. You know, I'm sorry what happened between me and Carryout. A racing incident. I feel like it was my fault, but he says it's his fault, so we'll take it at that. Again, I'm sorry to Chaos. I outbroke myself getting tunnel vision on Carryout. Again, because Carryout and me seem to have a love-hate relationship when it comes to racing. But other than that, no. Can you do me one favor, though?
No.
Oh, dang it. I was just going to ask you to move me back into the race night lobby chat.
I'll do that. Just for you, Fear. Just for you.
Thank you.
All right. There you go. Big J Bishop, otherwise known as Fear the Fun. Well, at least I'm trying to. I can't get you in there, though, Fear. I can only get you back to the interview queue. It's not letting me drop you back to the other one. So I'm sorry. I can only do half of what you asked of me there. So sorry. Z827, welcome back to the Driver's Spotlight. We spoke with you earlier. You were able to move up a little bit better on the final standings here out at Rio de Janeiro, finishing 15th back behind Modern Weapon. I'll ask you the same question I asked Fear. Was that crazy or what? Z8, are you there? He left. Z8, I'll hold you up. Nope, Z8's gone. He's goner. Well, I don't see any other drivers in the driver's spotlight. Oh, no, sure enough, we got Born as Ghost. Born as Ghost, great to chat with you because Circuit de la Sarthe, Rio de Janeiro, I mean, you were on point here tonight.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I don't really know what happened. Rio, I got lucky. Just stayed within a second of carry out, and he actually got taken out by a lapper. So I inherited that one. It wasn't all skill, but it was mostly just luck. But I'll take it. It was a good night.
I don't know. You're chalking it up to luck and inheriting spots. I don't believe that to be a thing whatsoever. Did you feel like you were maybe a little bit better connected with the car tonight? Have you made some adjustments coming out of week 2?
Not really. Just a little bit more practice than usual, probably. It just felt good tonight. I don't know. I would say Rio, I was just able to stay close enough to carry out that when something happened, I was able to take advantage of it. But other than that, I think it was just a good week. The car's great.
Yeah, and you say practice has certainly helped. How do you practice for a race like Rio de Janeiro mini circuit in reverse, however? I mean, you can go out there and hot lap as much as you want, but until you've got 20 cars around you, that's a whole different experience.
Yeah, it was kind of a lot of bob and weave. Mostly just being confident in your line, I guess, because if you go into a track like that and you're searching for a line mid-race and you don't kind of have one picked out, then you're probably just out of luck. I think that helped a lot.
Talking with Born as Ghost, finishing in 3rd position out here at Rio de Janeiro behind Stevie Superstacks, who got 2nd. McQueen getting back-to-back wins here in week number 3. In week 4, we've got Road Atlanta and the Nürburgring GP. Pretty excited about those 2 races?
Oh yeah, Road Atlanta is always fun. I think every series ever always picks Road Atlanta for their rotation, so one that everyone knows. So the racing should be really good. And then I picked Hockenheim, or not Hockenheim, Nürburgring GP. So I'm excited about that one because that one seems to get overlooked quite a bit. It's a fun track.
My man, yeah, I love that track. Ever since it debuted back in Forza Motorsport 4, I've loved that track. How do you kind of harness the momentum that you've got here in week number 3? Have that trickle in onto week number 4? Are you thinking about maybe continuing that practice regiment going into week 4, or really is it just kind of a mental thing?
I think practice helps, but I think it's mostly mental. You just have to kind of be confident in what you're doing. Like I said, if you go in kind of just hoping for the best, I don't think it's always going to work out. You kind of have to have a little bit of a plan. Whether you practice or not, you have to know what you're shooting for going in. I think that helps a lot.
Awesome. Very good there, Born as Ghost. Thank you so much. Any shout-outs here tonight?
Fear, we had some great racing. Carry out, I mean, he got unlucky there in the last race, but him and I were kind of nose to tail the whole time, and I couldn't get around him. So it's just kind of luck. Yeah, just those two guys really. Slip bailed on me tonight, so didn't have a teammate.
Well, maybe I know Fear the Fun said maybe he's expected to be out another week. Maybe we'll see him here in week number 4 or in 5. But either way, Born as Ghost, we look forward to seeing you there in week 4.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, and we'll try this again with Z827. And by the way, RaceChamp_191. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Z827, can you hear me now?
There we go. Now it's working.
There we go. Able to turn things a little bit around after what I remember, and I'm doing this off of very short memory because unfortunately you guys left the lobby before I was able to take much record of how things finished at Circuit de la Sarthe. But if I remember correctly, you turned things around here at Rio, getting 15th position.
Yeah, it felt good to finally finish ahead of where I started.
Started for qualifying, you're saying?
Yeah. So, started 18th after qualifying and ended up 15th after what was really a chaotic race.
It was, and Chaos Fox. I mean, I saw him get turned around at one point in the race. AP1 Raccoon, Fox, Beer, Gumby, and even Graham. So all the way back there to 21st position. How do you balance that of allowing those who are on the lead lap, those drivers who are vying for top spots, how do you balance allowing them to get the room that they need to get by, but at the same time not just kind of throwing your arms up in the air, giving up, and making yourself vulnerable to being passed by those you're racing against? It's kind of a challenge, I think, right?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a tricky balance. I mean, you're sitting there fighting for a position, and then all of a sudden here comes the guys on the lead lap. But definitely communication is always key with that. As long as you know that you got first and second battling right behind you, it's a lot easier rather than them just kind of surprising you. So communication definitely is something that we rely on pretty heavy.
When we talked earlier, I'd mentioned that you're 20th right now on the leaderboard, at least as things came into week number 3. We'll see how the points sort themselves out as Slow Motion Fire tallies them up here this evening. That being said, what do you aspire for or to here in your first run of season? Not of season 37, but of the Forza Spec Racing Series. Was there a place on the overall leaderboard, or is there one specific person that you're hoping to be better than when it's all said and done here by week 5?
I mean, initially I had wild dreams of being, top 5 or something like that. But now, I mean, at this point, I've kind of gotten a feel of how everyone else races, and honestly, if I can finish the season out of that gatekeeper spot of 20th, I will be happy.
Yeah, I'd take that too, man. I'm right there with you. Like if I'm able to see myself in the top 20, I'd be patting myself on the back. I'd be like, all right, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good debut. That being said, if you're able to participate in season 38, is there another class of car? Is there another type of car configuration or something that you would look forward to? Like if it was your choice and not the champion's choice, where would we be going in season 38 vehicle wise?
That's a good question. It's something I didn't really think about, honestly. Um, Probably something a little bit quicker than C class. I'd say probably A class, something in there. Maybe all-wheel drive.
Yeah. Okay. So something a little bit higher in the performance index spectrum, and perhaps all-wheel drive. Just throwing it out there, McQueen. Just throwing it out there, Stevie, or anybody else who might be gunning for the championship here by the time the season's over. Z827's got a request for y'all on the request
Exactly. Exactly. If you guys need, just hit me up. I'll send you some ideas.
Very good. Z827, we saw Kaluna Soul there in the chat, rooting you on. Any shout-outs here before we wrap things up tonight?
Yeah, shout out to her. That's my girlfriend. She's been rooting me on since the first week. Shout out to my dad. He's been watching also since the first week. Hey, Dad. All my friends have come out and kind of supported throughout the past 3 weeks. Definitely a shout out to all of them. But yeah, that's everyone I can think of right now.
Very good, ZA27. Well done, and I know you want to see maybe even better finishes here in the next 2 weeks, so we'll see how you do, and we look forward to seeing you on that track a week from tonight.
Definitely. Thank you.
All right, that is it in the driver's spotlight. I don't see anybody else, although Born as Ghost is kind of taking up residence there in the queue for interviews, so if anybody else was trying to get in there, I don't know that they would have been able to. So if anybody else wants to have a little quick chat, just quickly throw it there in the pit lane, our Twitch chat as it's otherwise known. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and move on with the teasers here. We are not having a broadcast this Friday. That would be the day after Thanksgiving. Going to go ahead and forego that one. That's typically our Hauling for the Weekend broadcast, but we'll be back at it come December the 4th. December the 4th, we'll be back with Hauling for the Weekend and our adventures in, Colorado. What's that state called? I'm due for a Leon interview, says Funtang. I am, Funtang, so let's go ahead and get that on the calendar here in the next 2 weeks, buddy, all right? Make it happen. So, yes, no broadcast this coming Friday. However, what is on tap is the Sunday broadcast, which is our Red Dead Redemption 2 playthrough that I teased during our race out there at Rio de Janeiro. Saddle Up Sunday. And it is episode 2. If you missed anything from our first episode, perhaps you weren't able to make it there this past Sunday, you can catch the video on demand, twitch.tv/xventure. Go to the video tab and then look in the past broadcast. That's where you'll find it in its entirety. Take a look at episode 1. That'll set you up nicely for episode 2. Again, Dutch Vanderlyn and Arthur Morgan here, who you see on screen, and the gang, the Vanderlyn gang, setting up shop over the Horseshoe Overlook, and we're going to see what they get into next over chapter number 2 here of Red Dead Redemption 2. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of things are going to play out and unfold here over the next couple of Sundays, so don't miss out on it. And again, if you do, you can watch them back on demand, but hopefully you'll be able to catch us live on Sunday. That's at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So that does it, and that will be our next broadcast. And then, yes, we will be back live a week from tonight with the Forza Spec Racing Series, week number 4, and it's going to be a good one. We had the schedule up there for quite a bit. Road Atlanta, the full circuit, which is awesome. Sometimes we get the short circuit. We are going to be on the full one this go around, 19 laps, and that'll be followed by the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit, which I'm a huge fan of. I think it's a great track, and especially after they've done some refinements to it in the world of Forza Motorsport. It started out as a very bumpy track in the Forza Motorsport 4 days. It's been smoothed out a little bit, so it runs quite nice. It's got great transitions. The speed across the track from the Mercedes Arena all the way out to the NGK chicane and back toward the start-finish line to Yokohama. It's a fun track. So come join us for that fun. That'll be a 13-lapper, all ahead of a Week 5 finale out there at Sebring, the full circuit in rain. Fun stuff. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me here on a Tuesday evening. If you got some family, friends, or foes who you think would love the action here on Xventure, make sure you tell them to come follow. Give the channel a follow, and that way when we go live on Fridays, except for this Friday, Sundays and Tuesdays, they get that notification. And then get them engaged here in the chat. We'll have those Twitch predictors that are running. We'll get those going again next week, so that way you can continue to earn those channel points so that you have a chance at a raffle. There you go. You got 2 weeks to make it happen here before we pick our winner for that $50 digital gift card for Xbox, PlayStation, or Steam. The more entries you have, the more chances you have to win. That does it for me. As I stumble over the words, it's because I'm hungry for turkey. We're getting too close to Turkey Day, so I can't think of anything else except for turkey. Y'all take care. Have a great rest of the week. Stay happy. Stay healthy. If you get any more racing action in, keep it fun, keep it safe, keep it clean. Until next time, take care. Adios. Bye.